Hi everyone. I wanted to say congrats on completing week 1 of our Online Learning Foundations course. You did it. And I also wanted to thank you for your participation over the last several days. It has really made a difference to have you active and involved in the course, and I hope you've seen that for yourself. I wanted to show you something I put together as a way to capture the voices that we heard through the week's dialogue. And that is something I've called an appreciations wiki. So a wiki is a tool you can use in Blackboard as a way to do collaborative work. There's various ways to do them, but it's generally used as a tool where everyone can offer a contribution. For example, folks can use it to jigsaw information. Maybe people put in different parts of somebody puts in something about the circulatory system, somebody puts in something about anatomy in a nursing course, maybe different parts of a theory. You have people fill in different parts, or something like this where you want to capture different things that are said that were meaningful. So in this case, I did it on my own. I went back and looked through the discussion postings and lifted off something from all of your posts. So it's here in the menu now. I'm just going to go look at that. It's titled Appreciations Wiki, and when you click on that, you will see a table I created. So in this table, I have pulled out something that each of you said during our dialogue this week. And for things I found particularly meaningful, I put those in italics to just make them stand out a little bit better. But what you'll see as you look through this wiki is you'll notice that everyone brought something specific to the conversation, whether it was concern about hearing student voices, whether it was about trying to guide students in the classroom, whether it was about how their own teaching was going to have to change and how that was making them feel. Someone interpreted the campfires in cyberspace metaphors in a new way. It's all represented here, and so I want you to see the richness of your voices here in one place. So thank you for that. Another thing I did was I put in a resource section, and I'll show you that later on. So as we finish up Module 1, the final thing to do is to go in and do your journal. And that is a place where you can do some reflecting on the first week's experience. Much of that reflection you can use in week 3 as you put together your e-portfolio. So use that space as you see fit. It doesn't have to be long. It can be how you need it to be. So that's your cave space for the end of this week. I have opened up Module 2. Oh, and before I forget, I knew I have a list here of all the things I have to remember. The other thing is I will be doing feedback on the different activities that you completed this week. I'll be doing that tomorrow. So on Wednesday, you can expect to see feedback from me. Mainly it's supportive comments, but just other things I might want you to think about or answering questions you may have brought up in your journal. So that I'll be completing on Wednesday. All right, Module 2. In Module 2, we go from doing some whole group work together to doing some smaller group work together. So I have that open now for you, making connections in online teaching and learning. And what you'll see here is I have put you into 2 small groups. So look for the small group that you are in. The focus of the small groups is to give you a chance to begin thinking about an assignment you would like to do in your online or blended course. You don't have to have the assignment complete, but just start thinking about how you might redesign an assignment you do now, or maybe a new idea you've had percolating in your head the past few days. So go ahead and put that idea in your small group. Give as many specifics as you would like to, and then be engaged in active dialogue with your peers in that small group about their ideas. oftentimes we can get some synergy going within a group and look at our own idea in our own content area in a new way as someone else looks at it with fresh eyes. So I encourage you to dive into that. That is not due until Saturday, and then you'll actively be looking at that over the weekend and into next week. The other thing we're going to do this week is you get a chance to experiment with one of two tools. If you like, you can do both, but I'm really only expecting you to look at one. The first one, option A, it says here, is a voice thread discussion. And I have that explained here, and I have a screencast to walk you through how to do it. The second item is an activity you can work on with Judy, and that is a word wall. She'll walk you through how to use a word wall in a course and how she, in fact, uses it in some of her courses for deeper thinking. So you get a chance to experiment with one of those items. And that's just to give you a taste of different ways to both humanize your course, but also open up your course to some creative contributions from students. So I hope you enjoy doing that. Okay, back to the tab here. So this has normally been a 4-week course. This time we're offering it as a 3-week course to be responsive to faculty requests, to just shorten things up a bit and get folks onto their certification projects. So one thing I did was, to account for that week that we took out, I have created a resources tab for you here. This is something you can do in your course as well. You can provide a resource section with items that are specific to your course, but that don't necessarily relate to a specific module of content. So I have built resource sections for many types of courses. For our EDD program, that might be where they want to have all their writing tips and their dissertation resources. And sometimes I even list those here with resources as a heading. For nursing, it may be your standards. In the undergrad area, it might be something specific to your program or a specific resource you want them to use throughout your course. Here what I did was I provided resources on a few specific things. I went through and kind of thought about resources that might help you get started on the design process or might jumpstart your thinking about the online or blended classroom, as well as some resources on an area we won't be able to spend time on, but that is really important when thinking about online and blended design. But it also applies to face-to-face learning, and that is the concept of Universal Design for Learning, or UDL. And I believe EJ mentioned that in his comments at our face-to-face section. So he wasn't aware that we didn't spend as much time on that in this course. But I have some items here that you can look at. There's no time requirement on this. This course is open to you for a year, so you can just leave these here, but I wanted to make you aware of them. So first I start out with some resources from Michelle Pacansky-Brock. She works in an area that she calls humanizing online learning. So these are some of my favorite resources of hers that you can start thinking about. How do I want to provide some of those elements that I get in face-to-face learning in online or blended learning? Here are some of my resources that I go to for ideas when I'm thinking about blended and online course design. As I mentioned, we don't have a set way that we work through course design. It's really individual to each instructor and the content and the students that you work with. However, these are some some ideas to get you started thinking about them. So it's not required. As I mentioned here, your first resource is our team. However, if you just feel like, I'd really like to know more about this and think about it on my own before we sit down and dig into the details, here are some resources for you. I've linked them all here. And then when it comes to the area of Universal Design for Learning, here is an intro video to get you started. And then really the best resource around is this website from the UDL Center. I believe it's called CAST, C-A-S-T. It has multiple layers of ideas on this website about universal design for learning and how do we think about multiple means of expression and access, and that some of the key concepts. Rebecca put together a screencast of how to navigate that website since there's so much there. So that's the resources section. If there is anything else you would like to see me build there, please let me know. So I will let you get started on your work. Again, thank you for your wonderful participation this week, and I look forward to seeing more from you in the week ahead. Thanks.